call to order the committee meeting of Bridges and Tunnels. Are there any public speakers? I believe there's one public speaker.
Madam Chair, good afternoon. We have one member of the public registered to speak today.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
That speaker will be Charlton D'Souza.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Charlton D'Souza, President of Passengers United. So the Triborough Bridge, the pathway, the bikeway where people go through, there's been robberies. Delivery workers are being robbed on that pathway. I don't know if you were aware of this. And some of the delivery drivers have now organized their own patrols. And there are some, they're patrolling the bridge. I don't know if you guys were aware of that. So that's something that you might want to have your police department look into in terms of providing safety overnight. People are getting robbed in El Barrio, in that area over there by 125th Street, somewhere around there. Also, I wanted to bring up the point on the Queens Midtown Tunnel on the Long Island Expressway. Why is it that in the reverse peak direction in the evenings that there is no express bus lane? I've been trying to figure why y'all don't have that, because the express buses are stuck in traffic coming, from downtown Manhattan, even from other parts. And it's annoying to the bus drivers because sometimes they're running 20 to 30 minutes late because they're stuck in traffic all the way up to the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. So is there any way that y'all can work with DOT to put in an express bus lane in the PM evening directions? I would love to hear from you, later on in the meeting if y'all could mention something about that. But otherwise, this morning I was on an express bus, pretty smooth, and it worked out. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes the public comment.
Thank you very much. Are there any changes to the B&T committee work plan?
No changes to the work plan.
All right, Danny, I'll turn it over to you for your remarks and to walk us through the agenda today.
No, thank you very much. First, great seeing everyone in person. I could see you on screen, but now I can see you in person. Today I have people from our operating agency that are in the room and also virtual, and I have our consolidated departments also here to report on highlights of bridge and tunnel activities. I just want to mention on the comments that were just made, thank you for letting us know about the robberies. We'll work closely with our workforce and we'll notify NYPD as well. And regarding the reverse bus lane at the QMT, that you're right, that is a DOT initiative, and we can always reach out to them and talk to them about that. But it's always been that one way, as you know. But thank you for your comments. So that being said, good afternoon and welcome to the July 2021 MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee meeting. It has been a while since we last met, as I mentioned, and I'm happy to see everyone. I will start by commending Bridge and Tunnels employees for their actions during the tropical storm Elsa. Despite the pounding rains and high winds, Bridge and Tunnel employees kept the traveling public safe on our facilities. It was truly a team effort led by operations and maintenance personnel, and I'd like to thank everyone involved for their dedication to the public safety under very difficult circumstances. On top of all those thunderstorms that we had in between that was mentioned at other committees, we also dealt with that issue, and thank you all the employees that worked on that. Recently, on Sunday, July 11th, Bridges and Tunnels helped the region return to endurance racing events by assisting with the New York City Triathlon. More than 1,500 race participants cycled across the upper level of the Henry Hudson Bridge without incident. The Bronx-bound upper level of the bridge was closed to vehicular traffic at 5:30 a.m. and was reopened at 10:50 a.m., which is well in advance of the scheduled 3 p.m. reopening time. I thank B&T staff and our state and city partner agencies for working together, taking another step in our region's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. As you know, during COVID, the New York City Marathon, the 5-borough bike tour, all these events were canceled, so it's good to have them back out there and have our employees contribute. So great job. Also, I'd like to take a moment to update you on the efforts related to Central Business District tolling program. As you know, after significant delay by the prior federal administration, we received guidance from the Federal Highway Administration on March 30th, 2021, that we could proceed with an environmental assessment with robust outreach. Since that time, the team has been working closely with our colleagues at the Federal Highway Administration, New York City Department of Transportation, and the New York State Department of Transportation. There have been regular and detailed discussions on what exactly the EA requires and what the outreach will entail. We continue to do everything we can, as we have been doing since the law is passed, so we can obtain all required approvals and implement the project as soon as possible. So with that, if there are no questions, I'd like to turn it over to Rich Hildebrand, who's our Vice President and Chief of Operations for this agency. Rich?
Thank you, Dan. Good afternoon, Commissioner and Chair. The report on operations begins on page 12. Bridge and tunnel traffic levels continue to approach pre-pandemic levels despite rising gasoline prices as the region continues to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Paid vehicular traffic in May of 2021 was 26.8 million vehicles, which is 5% lower than the same month of 2019 and 79% higher than May of last year. Preliminary figures indicate that traffic in June of 2021 was just 3% lower than 2 years ago and 39% higher than last year, showing a big rebound for us. And unless there are any questions, this concludes my report on operations.
Thank you, Rich. I'd like to turn it over now to our Vice President of Chief Safety Officer, Eric Osnes. Eric, it's been a while. Sorry about that.
It's all right, Danny. Thank you. The May 2021 safety report begins on page 26, and B&T's performance metrics are generally positive. While many indicators improved during the pandemic last year, B&T's current safety performance in most areas is also better than in pre-pandemic period of 2 years ago. B&T's safety report highlights include the following. Customer collision rates improved over the past 12 months compared to previous 12-month periods. B&T's 2021 total collision rate was 3.9 per million vehicles, 39% better than in 2019 and 33% better than last year. The 2021 collisions with injury rate was 0.62 per million vehicles, 31% better than both 2019 and 2020. Employee contractor safety metrics over 12-month periods are as follows. The employee lost time injury rate in May 2021 was 6.5 incidents per 200,000 work hours, a 20% increase compared to 2020. The contractor injury rate was 2.2 incidents per 200,000 work hours in 2021, 20% better than last year. So that ends the safety report, if there are any questions.
Just a quick question here. What do you attribute these improvements to? These are good numbers across the board.
Well, I have to give some credit to my friend Joe, who's sitting next to me. We've had some major engineering projects that have finished, specifically on the RFK and the Bronx Whitestone. The areas that have been significantly improved as a result of those engineering controls were major contributors to our collision count. And I think it's a little too early to spike the football just yet. I don't think we're in a complete pre-pandemic period just yet, but the numbers really look positive. The fact that we're only down about 5% in volume, and we're seeing 35 to 40% decrease in our collision count, that's a good story. So I would have to attribute it in addition to what we do operationally, but I do think that the engineering control is a big component of why we're seeing what we're seeing.
Thank you. Good to hear. Questions or comments from anybody else? All right, Danny?
Thank you. And now for our first consolidated report, Finance Department report on finances. First, I'd like to thank Marissa Krinis for her new role as Finance Liaison, Bridges and Tunnels in the MTA Office of the Chief Financial Officer. So congratulations, Marissa, and your first report. Thank you.
Thank you. The finance report for June begins on page 31. In the year-to-date through June, support to mass transit totaled $604 million, which was $432 million better than the adopted budget. Toll revenue was $973 million for the first 6 months of 2021, which was $401 million better than budget. B&T toll revenue has significantly exceeded McKinsey projections that formed the basis for the 2021 adopted budget. Total expenses were $216 million in 2021 through June, which was $28 million or 11% below budget. The favorable expense results include lower overtime costs. Overtime for the year-to-date was 14% below budget. Unless there are any questions, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Marissa. Now for Joe Keane, the Senior Vice President and Chief Engineer of MTA Construction and Development's Bridge and Tunnel Unit, will now report on the capital program status. Joe?
Thanks, Danny. Good afternoon. I'm presenting information on B&T's capital program on behalf of MTA Construction and Development. The report begins on page 46. Year-to-date, B&T has made 48 commitments with a value of $95.2 million. This compares to planned 33 commitments at $106.7 million. The variance in commitment dollars primarily reflects good bid savings. In terms of completions, B&T has completed 7 projects with a total value of $110.7 million, and this compares to a planned 5 completions at $94.8 million. Notably, Project VN11, that was the Brooklyn Approach reconstruction at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, was completed in June, 6 months ahead of the original schedule as part of the New York Moving Forward initiative. In terms of closeouts, closeouts totaling $147.8 million have been realized through June, and a plan of 138 task closeouts totaling over $1 billion includes several closeouts that have shifted to the second half of the year. Unless there are any questions, that concludes the capital report.
Commissioner Schwartz?
I'll put this in the petty category. And seeing D is over here too. I would like to just make sure that every time we do a capital project going forward, that there's language in there to make sure that the contractor is always responsible for removing any and all supplies, materials from the job site that they work on. There's too many times I've seen over the years on capital projects where there is material that's left at the job site, and then that material is never removed. That material could become a safety hazard. I've watched it now with the Long Island Railroad, with Metro North. You see tremendous amount of construction debris and materials left there. And to me, it's a signal for a problem waiting to happen, whether or not someone hits it, someone trips over it, it gets blown onto the road or whatnot. So I just want to make sure that when contractors are finished doing the job that they were hired for, that, or whether or not it's an agency responsibility, to pick up your toys and put them back wherever they belong, but not leave them at the job site. Thank you.
Any response to that?
No, thank you, Commissioner. And you have the right people in the room. So between the agency and C&D, we'll work together and coordinate with that. So thank you.
All right, Danny, what do we have for procurements?
So we have one C&D procurement this month for B&T, and David Cannon, the Vice President and Chief Procurement Officer of MTA Construction and Development's Contract Unit, will now present that procurement. David, thank you.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Construction and Development has one procurement action totaling $7.5 million being brought through the Bridges and Tunnels Committee this month. The action is competitive and requests approval of a modification in the amount of $7.5 million to the contract for structural steel repairs and painting at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge with Ahern Painting Contractors Incorporated. The modification is for additional structural steel quantities and fire standpipe repairs on the main span of the Verrazano Narrows that were discovered during the 2020 biennial inspection and subsequent detailed inspections of the bridge. Performing the work as a modification under this contract rather than deferring it to a future contract will allow the necessary work to be performed timely and cost-effectively while continuing to maintain the bridge in a state of good repair. I submit this procurement action for your consideration and vote.
Is there a motion? Second?
I'll move it.
I second.
Any questions or comments before the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, the procurement carries. This completes the Bridges and Tunnel Committee report. Is that right? Correct. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second?
I
All right, we're
second
adjourned.
Second.
Thank you very
Motion.
much.
Wow, look at this.
Quick.
Great job, Commissioner.
Very good, everyone. Have a good day. See you on Wednesday.